episode 2 of Tauros Weekly. I'm Ken Oda. With me is Nick Hallberg, and it was a happy weekend. Tauros get the win over the Bobcats and get a little bit of the help they need from Brookings after the Bobcats went back home for the weekend.
Yeah, not only did the Tauros win, but we spanked Bismarck. 4-0 was the final score. There was a good fight in the game. There's 1,200 people here, and I tell you what, this is a hockey team right now, and don't take anything away from Bismarck. I mean, they're a good club, and they're fighting for that top spot in the division, but Minot looks like a real good hockey team right now, and they have a lot to be proud of after a big 4-0 win on Thursday night in front of a rowdy venue.
Certainly, I've said it before, I don't think anyone can skate with this team. 11-2-2 since the start of February. I know Bismarck's been on a tear as well, matching us win for win, it seems, down the stretch here, but the way we look Thursday night, if we play like that, I don't think anyone can hang with us.
Well, there's a couple things that really stand out to me. I mean, in the month of March, we were 6-1. In February, we're 5-1-2. But I think some of the numbers that really pop off the paper, and what I'd like to ask Marty Murray later in the show, you got guys like Grayson Gavin, Colton Berg. These are rookie guys that are in our top 10 in scoring in our last 10 games. Not to mention our best players up at the top of the ladder. They're playing as our best players. And then when you look at goaltending, which is the key to any playoff run, Minot's goaltending right now is lights out. 9.45 save percentage for Gunnar Rivers. He's sitting on a 1.83 goals against average. And Lucas Murray, he doesn't have any chump numbers either. He's on a 2.53 goals against average and a 9.18 in his last 10 games. I mean, they're playing very well, and I think there's a lot clicking right now for the Tauros.
Certainly is. And then you look at the bottom of the division is the playoff picture. Even though the Tauros got the win they needed and a little bit of help from Brookings, as I mentioned, the playoff picture, it's not any clearer in the Central Division.
Well, and it's the parity inside the league and inside the division's a lot of fun right now. When you look at 50 points for Brookings, Minnesota and Aberdeen tied with 53, 58 points for Austin. I mean, there's a lot that can still shake up at the bottom of the barrel for those four final teams trying to get in for the four teams in the playoffs.
Certainly, and you look at Bismarck, 1 point ahead of the Tauros, 72 points for Bismarck, 71 for the Tauros. But Bismarck plays 4 with the Minnesota Magicians here down the stretch. Tauros have 2 with Austin and 2 with Brookings. Certainly not a foregone conclusion that the Tauros are going to run the table. But with only a 1-point deficit, you just need Minnesota to get 1 from Bismarck if the Tauros can take care of business.
Well, I think what Minot needs to do, and I think Marty Murray would be the first one to tell you this, Ken, is that you just got to sit back and control your own destiny. I mean, that's an old hockey cliche that you can't worry about what's going on down the road anywhere else except inside your home barn and where you're playing on the road. And I think if the Tauros do that, if they stick to business, keep their minds focused, at the end of the day, the cards are going to fall how they may. And I think Marty had a great quote last week on the show that, this game against Bismarck for the division lead right now doesn't define this season. I mean, there's a whole playoff round to come right down the corner and all sorts of good stuff like that, knowing that, look, this season's not over. Second place is okay if that's where we finish. But, boy, first would taste pretty good.
It certainly would. I was just talking about this out by the ice a little earlier today with some of the guys. We're not hanging a banner for a Central Division championship in the regular season. So while it'd be nice to go ahead and get that first place finish, in the end, that's not what we're chasing. The goal is something bigger.
Well, the goal is something bigger, and I think Minot's a team right now that you ride hot goaltending. You look at what these guys are doing up front, but more importantly, Ken, I think that at the end of the day, when you're a Tauros fan and you're someone inside this community, I think you need to take a look around and just see some of the things that the Tauros are involved in, some of the things that are happening right now. Besides the fact that they're winning a bunch of hockey games, they're sending kids off to college, they're doing good things on that realm. There's sled hockey coming up here on Sunday. I'm sure we'll talk about that later in the show. Tauros are going to be involved in that. I mean, there's so many things going on that I'm just proud to be a part of this organization right now. And I wanted to bring this up last week. I forgot about it, and I know that I'm getting kind of long here in the open to the show. But the captain of this hockey team, Jared Brandt, a few weeks ago got suspended due to a fight. And the following game, I saw Jared Brandt doing as a lot of junior hockey players will do, and they'll help out with some game ops stuff, putting some coupons on some seats. There aren't many captains in the North American Hockey League that are going to go out as a 20-year-old guy and put coupons on a seat. And that kid, number 6, the captain of this hockey team, walked around with a smile on his face, helping out, being a part of the team when he frankly didn't have to do that. And I just think there's a lot to be said about that right there, and kind of gives you an idea where this hockey team is right now at this point in time.
Certainly, you mentioned a lot of captains around the league probably would just say, oh, that's rookie work, I'm not going to do that. But not Jared. He stepped up and always willing to help out. And before we throw to our first break here, just want to update everyone on some stuff we have going on. You mentioned the sled hockey game. That's going to be this Sunday. We have a package put together for that. You'll see later in the show. Also, Nick, you and I, we're going to be hosting the second annual Tauros Awards Banquet, a little bit of a Tauros Weekly live, I guess you'd say, next week, Wednesday, at the Holiday Inn Riverside. Nick and I will be hosting panels with the coaches. Marty and Nigel will be sitting up there taking questions from us and from you, the fans. And then we'll have one with the captains. It's Jared Brandt, who you mentioned, and then the guys who rotate wearing the A's: Christian Mose, James Leduce, Max Metler, Zach Bross, and Jake Diddle. So we'll have all 6 of those guys up there, and you and I asking them questions, letting the fans come in, and $20 to come out to this event. It includes a buffet dinner. It should be a good time.
Are you wearing a suit for this?
Of course, Nick.
I think we should get you in a cowboy outfit, like a cowboy hat, like an urban cowboy kind of suit. I got an extra pair of boots you can wear. I think it'd be great.
I don't think so, Nick. And then
That's what I'm wearing. Whatever.
And then the other thing we got going on is this Saturday night after the game. If you like the Tauros home jerseys, you're going to be able to take them home. Jersey auction after that last game against Austin on Saturday night, the last home game. So we'll be back with Marty Murray to talk about this weekend's games after this here on Tauros Weekly.
We're now joined by Tauros assistant coach Nigel Dubé and Ellie DeLoyers, the director of marketing and development for the Minot Park districts, and here to talk about a unique event coming up on Sunday. Ellie, tell us a little bit about this event of sled hockey coming up on Sunday and what it means to the community.
Well, this is a great event for our community. We kind of brought to us by Chad and Angie Thompson have been down to Bismarck with Dreams in Motion, and Dreams in Motion has kind of taken us under their wing, and they're bringing their sleds down for us and our kids to participate and be on the ice and enjoy all the things that their brothers and sisters get to do as well.
So the main goal of this event on Sunday is to raise some awareness that there is opportunities for everybody, even with disabilities, that there are opportunities to play some hockey and be out on the ice and have some fun. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's our job as the Minot Park District, is to provide sports and activities for all of our kids and our youth in Minot. So that's what Sunday is all about.
Fantastic. Nigel, tell us a little bit. I know that you take a lot of pride in being involved in this as well with the Tauros organization. Tell us a little bit about what your role is and the hockey team's role on Sunday afternoon.
Well, a big thing for us is we want to promote to our fans and anyone in Minot to come out and watch this. These young athletes out here that are going to enjoy a different version of hockey, but still the sport of hockey. And it's a great sport, and our big thing is for everybody to get to play it. And that's what Sunday will be about. Our guys will be here to help out and probably jump on a sled. These 3 back here having a blast. Palmer showing them how it's done, but just the enjoyment that it can bring to everyone, all ages. So it's an exciting time for us, and then we're gonna have some floor hockey set up too. So just kind of a day of hockey and get everybody out that we can and put some smiles on kids' faces.
Final question I have for you. Tell us again what the date is and the time of the event on Sunday.
The date is April 3rd. That's this Sunday. It starts at 1 p.m., ending at 3 p.m., and we just want to invite everybody to come out and enjoy the show. And thank you to the Minot Tauros for being such an amazing partner, the Hockey Boosters and Qdoba, for making this event possible.
Absolutely. Great job to both of you, and we'll see you guys on Sunday. Back with more Tauros Weekly in just a moment.
Welcome back inside the Tauros locker room here on Tauros Weekly. Nick Holberg, Ken Oda, and Marty Murray joining us now. Marty, big win on Thursday night. Just what was the feeling like on the bench after that one?
Well, it was fun. I mean, you look forward to those games, especially where we're at with the standings with Bismarck, and to come up with a big effort. I was proud of the guys. I thought we had a real solid 60-minute effort. I think they pushed a little bit in the second, but we were able to overcome it and come up with a strong third.
Now, one of the big differences here down the stretch, 11-2 since the start of February, has been Gunnar Rivers, and he had a fantastic game against Bismarck, his 3rd shutout as a Toro. How much confidence does he give you guys back there now?
Well, I mean, a ton. I mean, you look at his numbers since his arrival here. I mean, they'd be at the top of the league, and so to have that caliber a goalie come in here down the stretch run has really given our group a lot of confidence, and for us as a coaching staff as well. And I think in the bigger picture too, it's calmed Lucas Murray down. I think his starts have been very solid, and I think that's a result of having a little bit of weight off his shoulders when we brought Gunnar in.
Sure.
Marty, when you look at March and 6-1 in the month of March, you guys have just been on fire. How much do special teams that are finally starting to come around for you guys make a difference in this last 10 games and certainly in March?
Well, it's huge. Even looking back at last Thursday game, I think we killed 7 penalties, and then we were able to get a couple in the power play. So those are difference makers, especially down the stretch and into the playoffs. And you talk about our goaltending. Your goalie needs to be your best PK, and I think we've been doing a better job of getting our clears, blocking shots. But at the end of the day, our goalies are making saves when they need to.
I was just going to ask you one of the questions I had for you today. Bottom of the division, this playoff chase. Do you have any concern with these teams at the bottom of the barrel in the division playing so tight and already being so far deep into the playoff mode that when you finally meet up with one of them in the first round that you guys might be in store for some shock treatment right out of the gate?
Well, it's going to be a battle, no question about it. They, those teams have been almost in playoff mode for a while, and we'd like to think we have too. We stacked up well for the most part against every team in our division. I think the Magicians probably have given us the hardest run here, but I think once the regular season's done, we get into playoffs. It's a whole clean slate, and we're happy we got the home ice, but we can't rely on that either. It's going to be a tough opponent whoever we face in the first round.
Now, looking later on in the show, we're going to have Troy Degler on along with Gunnar Rivers. Degler's 5th all-time in points of the Toros. I think he is a quiet kid. I think he's also a quiet guy on the ice. You don't notice him, it seems, but he just produces. Talk about Troy a little bit and what he's brought to the club.
Well, not only the points, I think his competitive nature every night doesn't go unnoticed amongst us, and we've seen it for 3 years. And pound for pound, I don't know if anybody competes harder and wins more battles than Troy Degler, and he's going to be a guy down the stretch here. We're going to need providing that veteran leadership and just that consistent play, and he'll be a big part of our stretch run here for sure.
It's funny. I was looking back at his numbers over the last 3 years. He's one of the least penalized guys on the team every year. But whenever we play the Bobcats, he's got a fight against Spooner last year, Aid this year. What is it about the Bobcats that just seems to get the guys fired up like that?
It's hard to say. I think it's probably just a rivalry, especially a guy like Troy that's been involved with it for 3 years. And I think the rivalry for the new guys has maybe changed a little more. But, it was pretty heated early on, and, the first couple years of our existence. And Troy kind of maybe saw a bigger picture than what some of the guys here that are new to the team this year.
Now, turning our attention this week to Austin, a team that we haven't seen, I think, since Thanksgiving weekend. What kind of challenge does that present? They're a division opponent, but you haven't seen them in 3 months.
Yeah, it's kind of the way it's been going with Brookings and now Austin, teams we haven't really seen that much of. But they have a good team. They're not stapled in to be a playoff team, so I'm sure they're going to be motivated coming in this weekend. Their top line they produce as well as anybody in our division for sure. So we have to keep an eye on them. But they're a potential first-round playoff matchup, and I know they came into our building the last time we were here and swept us in 2 games over the weekend, and we need to be ready. It's going to be an emotional, competitive weekend for sure.
Marty, the question I have for you when you look at the last 10 games for the Toros, and I've got a few guys here highlighted, your best players have to be your best players as the season continues and rolls on, but it sure seems like some of the guys like Grayson Gavin, 7 points in his last 8 games, Colton Berg, some of these rookie guys that are kind of emerging. Does that give you a sense of comfort knowing that there's guys that you throw in your lineup? And I know I sound like a broken record each and every night that I ask you this, or each week that I ask you this, but it has to feel good knowing that you've got quite a bit of depth in this hockey team.
No question. I mean, having those young guys really come along the last half of the season. You talked about the Gavins, the Bergs, the Fooses, those type of players, the Martinson. It kind of gives a whole new element when they, down the stretch and into that playoff run. And at this point in the season, really nobody's a rookie anymore. They all have 50+ games under their belt, so we expect them to perform like veterans, and they've passed the test in flying colors, no question about it.
Now, some of the guys you mentioned that top line, Jacob Pagnali had 6 points against us so far this year. Misiak has 5. Jade Miller, 3 goals, 4 assists. What do you guys have to do to stop them this weekend?
Well, you have to pay attention who you're on the ice against, and ultimately, if you're making them play in their own end, it's hard to score goals. And like I said, their top line of Misiak, Miller, and I think Gabor is another guy on there that's their leading scorer, or as good as any first line in the league, and we have to pay special attention to them. And if we wanted to get into a run and gun game where we're giving up chances against them, we're probably asking for trouble. So we have to pay special attention to them when they're on the ice and make sure we're responsible with the puck.
Now, this team with Austin, it's a rivalry that the last 3 years they've ended our season in the playoffs. I don't think any of the guys have been around that long. So is there a little something extra when they come to town still, or is it because we play them so infrequently that maybe that rivalry isn't as heated?
You know, I think the rivalry is still there, no question about it. Of course, they had the changeover in Austin with the coaching staff, and a lot of their players are new. So I think probably the rivalry is new for them down there as well. But you know, I'm sure as the playoffs approach, and if they're a first round opponent, that story is going to get brought up time and time again. So we're just going to focus on our group here and not worry about the past too much, and hopefully rewrite some kind of story ourselves.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in and joining us this week. We'll be back with Troy Degler and Gunnar Rivers after this here on Tauros Weekly.
Can't get the rebound on net, but Bross is there. Bross in front. Jeanson couldn't tip it. Berg waits, rips, blocker save, puck still loose. Atkinson! Jeanson! Save made. Broken stick out front. Springman. Ledus for Mose. Mose up top. Ledus one-timer. Side of the net, it's in! Reisinger! Down the wall for Springman. Up top, Ledus. Ledus for Mose. One-timer. That one's blocked up high. Mose backdoor. It's in! It's in! Springman! This is Brent. Near side as we're under 7 minutes to go. In for Reisinger, walks in, shot, it's in!
Welcome back inside Tauros Weekly. Once again, Ken Oda with Nick Hallberg, and joining us now, Gunnar Rivers and Troy Degler. Welcome in, boys.
Thanks for having us.
Now, Troy, you've been here, I think the second longest. Only Jared Brandt's been here longer than you. So, just what are your thoughts on your time in Minot?
It's a great time. I wouldn't know a better way to spend it than here.
A little bit different path for you. Not a lot of hockey players come out of Fort Myers, Florida. How'd you end up becoming a hockey player?
Well, my grandpa, he played in the NHL, and he settled down in Fort Myers, Florida, and my mom followed and met my dad, and sort of grew up around the game.
Okay.
For you, Troy, your last 5 games, you've been lighting it up 2, 3, 4 points in those last 5 games. You had a fight last Thursday night, excuse me. Tell us just a little bit about how you're feeling, in your senior quote-unquote campaign of junior hockey, and doing a nice job, and looks like you're really starting to feel good out there.
Yeah, I'm starting to step up my game. Earlier in the year I was struggling, but I just kept pushing it, and now I'm starting to see rewards.
For you, Gunnar, we don't have to go far to get to Atlanta, Georgia. What do you think of mine at North Dakota? This is a little bit different up here than it is down south, hey?
Yeah, well, I was born in Atlanta, but I actually grew up in Canada. So, coming up here, it's a lot like home. I really enjoy it.
Now, since the trade, you've been absolutely lights out. Your numbers so far, as a Toro, you're 9-1-2 with a 946 save percentage and a 173 goals against average. If you put those numbers up for a whole season, they'd be leading the league in both categories, I believe. What's been the key to the hot start here as a Toro?
Well, I was really fortunate for the opportunity to come to a really good team, and Marty's just done a great job, and he trusts me, so I just want to return the favor and win as many games as possible. I don't really look at the numbers. I want us to win and have a really long playoff run.
Now, Troy, back to you. Nick mentioned it earlier, the fight. I went back and I looked. You're one of the least penalized guys on our team every year, but going back, you have 62 career penalty minutes. 36 of them have come in fights or line brawls with Bismarck. What is it about the Bobcats that brings that out in you?
They just tick me off a lot. I don't really have much to say. It's a really big rivalry between us, and they always, they're always chirping me and stuff, so I like to get back at them a little.
Well, I know our fans love the two guys you fought this year, Aid, last year, Jared Spooner. I don't think you could have made our fans any happier by picking those two guys to fight.
Tell us a little bit about this, Gunnar. I want to know. I was a goaltender myself when I played back in the day, and I'm a big stand-up guy in this butterfly game that kind of came about. You play real low to the ice, and you're a guy that has a unique style, something that when I first saw you, I'm looking at you going like, oh no, the top shelf is wide open. But obviously, after watching you for these last 12 games, you're tracking pucks down there, it seems, and it seems to be working out for you. Tell us where that style comes from and how that all came about of being so low to the ice, but also being so dominant, still stopping pucks up top.
Well, you know, I got that from Henrik Lundqvist, actually. I watched him a lot, you know, outstanding goalie, obviously. I noticed earlier in the year in Odessa, I was getting beat a lot on screenshots, and, you know, if I can't see it, I have trouble stopping it, so I try to find a way to fix it, and I realized with all these bodies in front of the net, it's actually easier if I get down and look between their legs, because, you know, if I can see the shot coming, I could always come back up and, you know, take away the top corner, but if I can't see it, it's going to be pretty hard to track.
It's always interesting when we see a quote-unquote backwards goaltender. Most guys carry that glove on the catching glove on the left hand. You're backwards, per se. Are you like that when you play baseball and golf and all other sports as well?
You know, I'm pretty screwed up when it comes to that. I throw with the same hand I catch with, and, you know, it's I've had to teach myself to throw with the other arm in baseball, so yeah, I mean, it's all over the place.
Well, they always say goalies are the goofy ones, so you're probably right on par for the course, man.
Yeah.
Now, right away when we put this out that you guys were going to be on this week, had a lot of questions roll in. The first one for you, Gunnar, you know, do you hear the fan? You've got a pretty good cheering section. Do you hear it when they're yelling your name during the game, and does it throw you off? Do you like it? Do you feed off of it?
Well, yeah, we have amazing fans here. That's probably been the biggest thing I've noticed. I love it, and I mean, it really helps sometimes when I'm not getting a lot of shots. You know, when they're saying that, it keeps me in the game. It keeps me motivated to keep, you know, playing my best. So I really do appreciate it.
And Troy, this one's from Miranda Schuler on Facebook. She noticed your jersey is always tucked in the back. Is that a superstitious thing, or what's the deal with that? She wants to know.
Well, the way I skate really close to the ground, and like I'm bending over, so it kind of it's not really superstitious at all. It's just
kind of
happens.
All right. This one's for both of you from Amanda Bauer on Twitter. Any advice for players who want to grow up to be Tauros or future Tauros coming to Minot from a different place?
For me, all I could say is, you know, it doesn't really matter where you are right now. Like, you know, if you put in the work, you know, even though it seems pretty far away, you work hard and, you know, it'll catch up. I think Troy had a pretty good quote for that.
Yeah, spot on, Gunnar. Pretty much just work hard, and hard work beats skill if skill doesn't work hard. That's pretty much.
Now, this one's from Sean Colleen on Twitter. He wants to know, do you think that the Mesa is a tough place for opposing teams to come in and play? And then on the other end, what's the hardest place for you guys to go in and play?
Well, you know, I've only been here a short time, and I got to tell you, you know, I can see how it would be intimidating for other teams to come in. Like, you know, we have a great fan base, and they're on top, they're looking over you. It's I can see how that'd be intimidating. For me personally, I had trouble in Wichita Falls down in the south. That was one of the hardest rinks for me. But I think Bismarck's definitely a tough one too. But you know, it's fun. You know, you feed off their crowd too.
Troy?
Pretty much the same thing what he said.
Don't like going into Bismarck?
No, Bismarck's always a tough one for us, and it's a battle.
Now, Troy, Stephen Chase on Facebook wanted to know, how did it feel to fight Harrison Haight? And you know, I'm just curious, what brought that one on? It seemed to come out of nowhere.
Well, last game he was giving me a hard time. He was chirping me a lot, and I wasn't expecting it. I had him pinned up against the wall, and I just hear, "Let's go, let's go." I backed off. I looked at him. He just looks at me, so I drop my stuff. He drops his, and there you go.
Good old-fashioned Donnybrook. That was a good fight, man. It was fun to watch. For you, Gunnar, final question that I have for you. You know, most goaltenders have some superstitions, and we came in the room just now and I asked if I could touch your goal mask, because a lot of guys don't like their stuff being touched, things like that. Tell us a little bit about your superstitions. Do you have any, and what's your pregame ritual like if you do?
You know, the biggest thing I've tried to do is not have any superstitions in my game. You know, I find that, you know, it's already such a stressful position. Adding on superstitions can almost make it more stressful. So, I mean, I was raised, my dad was a pro hockey player, and he was a player, and so he didn't have any. So I don't think I'm too quirky when it comes to goalie stuff like that.
And last one for you, Troy, before we let you guys get out of here and get to the workout. This is your third season in Minot. last 2 years knocked out of the playoffs by Austin. They're coming in this weekend. Last Thursday beat Bismarck. Who do you hate more, Austin or Bismarck?
Still Bismarck.
Still Bismarck?
Yeah, doesn't get any worse than them. Those games are the hardest I think we play them.
All right.
To play against them.
Good deal. We'll let you guys get out of here, and thanks for coming in.
All right, thank you.
We'll be back. We'll be back after this to wrap it up here on Tauros Weekly.
Tauros fans, I'm Josh DeMille, here to encourage you to buy one of these t-shirts. 100% of the proceeds goes to the Mesa Expansion Project. So please, buy a shirt, build this house, and go Tauros!
Welcome back into Tauros Weekly. Ken Oda with Nick Holberg alongside Nick. That was a lot of fun again. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's fun talking to those goalies. You know, they're different kinds of dudes. He seems pretty laid back, and it's always good seeing Marty. And Degler, I get a kick out of too. He just looks like a hockey player. He's got the long blonde hair. He's missing some teeth, and he's not the most outspoken guy, but he's a lot of fun to be around too.
Well, and his grandfather played in the NHL. I feel like I knew that and just forgot it over time, but it's just like I said in the interview, not a lot of players coming out of Fort Myers, Florida. But definitely a cool story there.
Yeah, how about that in Atlanta, Georgia? I said, first of all, Atlanta, Georgia, you don't have to go too far. Well, no, I'm actually from Canada. Well, I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's what Tauros Weekly is all about. And it's fun to have those guys on. We thank them for coming in.
Now, before we let everyone get out of here, let's take a quick look ahead. Austin coming up. It's a big weekend. As Marty mentioned in his interview, that's a potential first-round playoff matchup right now. If the playoffs started today, that would be who we're playing, and it'd be the 4th year in a row that these teams meet in the playoffs. So, just what are your thoughts? You've been around the organization all this time. How much do you hate Austin?
I don't hate Austin as much as I hate Bismarck, but then again, how do you know how much you hate a team? Because we haven't played them since the 28th of November. We played them early October on the 16th and 17th. We won both, by the way. That was at Austin. They came to Minot. They beat us on the 30th and 31st of October. We played them 4 times in the span of a couple weeks. We lost both of those. We go down to Austin, we get thumped again 3-1. Last time we played them in Austin, we won 3-2. So we need some revenge, and we need to get a flavor for what these guys are like in case we do match up with them in the playoffs.
Well, certainly you want to be playing your best hockey going into the playoffs, and you definitely don't want to give a potential first-round opponent that kind of confidence by dropping a couple here at home, which again, we'll have home ice if we play them. So you don't want to give them the confidence that they can come in here and win.
Yeah, they're always a big team. They're always physical. They're always good on special teams. And, I don't know. They say it's hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year if you only play them, 3 or 4 times in a season. That's been proven wrong time and time again inside the North American League. Teams sweep teams on the season, and you look at the playoffs, and I don't know. You just have to think that one of these years Minot would have an upper hand in the postseason against the Austin Bruins, but they're always tough.
Well, these series have been epic, and I think one thing that changes, this will be the first time the Tauros have home ice advantage. Every other year it's been 2 there, come back here for 2, and then game 5 back in Austin. That's a little bit rougher when you're playing that game 4 on Saturday, then jumping on the bus, driving all day Sunday to go sleep in a hotel and play on the road. Now, if it goes to game 5, our guys are sleeping in their own beds.
Yeah, and don't forget, it's not a short drive either, south of the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. So yeah, it's going to be interesting this weekend to see how these 2 teams shape up on paper, by the numbers. It's going to be a pretty fair matchup, pretty evenly matched up. Special teams again is the numbers that hop off the paper for me, with Austin having an advantage there. But the Tauros have been red hot lately, and Austin's a team that they've just been kind of squeaking by, 4-4 in their last month of March, where the Tauros have been on fire at 6-1.
Let's put a cap on it. You got who do you think your bear hunters are this week?
Looking at the numbers, and you have to go way back, all the way back to November. But James Ledouce, 1 goal, 5 assists, +1 in the series. I think he's going to be good. Chase Springman, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points for him. Don't forget about Jack Murphy. He's had a nice run against Austin as well. But this is a different time of the year. There's different guys cooking right now, and I think at the end of the day, I think that the message for me is, if you're a Tauros fan, even if you're not a big Tauros fan, get out, do a little tailgating, come out to the rink this weekend and watch a great brand of hockey. This is a team battling for first place right now inside the Central Division, a chance to wrap up a season championship inside the Central. It's going to be a lot of fun. This place has been packed, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm buckling up for a good 2 games against Austin.
It should be a fun one. Remember, jersey auction Saturday night after the game, home jerseys. All the players' worn jerseys will be signed and given to you. You'll be able to take them home after the playoffs, and then of course, next week, Wednesday, it'll be Nick and Ken hosting the second annual Tauros Awards Banquet out at the Holiday Inn. Should be a good time, and yeah, we'll see you Friday night here at the Mesa.
See you in a cowboy hat. That's going to be a lot of fun.